In this video, we're going to talk about the Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act of 2020. And this is a game changer for the PPP program, or a potential game changer. Now, before we get into it, if this is your first time at our channel or you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button at the bottom. My name is Travis Sickle, Certified Financial Planner, helping you reach your financial goals. So this PPP Flexibility Act of 2020 has passed the House 417-1. So it has to go through the Senate and then on to the president and get signed into law in order to take effect. But you don't really care about all that. What you want to know is what's going to change, what can you expect, and how do you plan for it? So let's jump right into it. The first thing that's going to change on the Flexibility Act, or the first proposal, is going from a 2-year loan to a 5-year loan. And this is really significant because anything that doesn't get forgiven turns into a loan at 1%. Now, as it's written right now, it's a 2-year loan, but it could jump to a 5-year loan. And here's how significant it really is. I'm going to give you an example. So let's say right now we're at 2 years and it's at 1% and it's $50,000. Let's say you have a $50,000 that's going to turn into the loan and you want to pay this back. What are those payments going to be? That's going to be $2,105 or $2,100 per month. But going from 2 years to 5 years would make it $855. So that's less than half for the payments or the monthly payments, which could make it a lot easier for your small business if you're trying to figure it out, but you're worried that this unforgiven part is going to balloon into a payment that's going to crush your business. So that is significant, going from 2 years to 5 years. The second significant proposal is going from an 8-week covered period to a 24-week covered period. And this is significant because it could change the way you're spending the PPP money, because from the May 22nd guidance that we went over in the last video, one of the pieces was talking about paying furloughed employees, because you might be thinking, well, I have to get rid of this money, so I'm going to pay the furloughed employees, because that was the intent of the PPP to begin with, to keep your employees off of unemployment. But that might not be the case anymore. This potential proposal to make this change to 24 weeks, and even if it's less than 24 weeks, there's a good chance that it's going to be longer than 8 weeks, which would change the way that you're going to plan for the PPP program. So if you're considering things like hazard pay or bonuses to your employees, you might want to wait until the last second in order to make those payments, because if you can extend it further, then it can cover additional payroll. But each business is going to be different, so you're going to have to make those decisions based on your particular situation. And in recognizing those different types of businesses, they also are proposing a change to the split between payroll and non-payroll costs. So currently it's at 75-25. And if you use 75% for your payroll, then you can maximize your forgiveness on the non-payroll side, and including the payroll side too. But that's going to change, or potentially change, to a 60-40 split. So only 60% needs to be used on the payroll side, where up to 40% could be used for the non-payroll cost. Now, going with the extension to potentially 24 weeks, that could open up more costs in allocating the costs to other months of those rents, utilities, and mortgage payments, or the interest on the mortgage. And these two changes have really opened the flexibility on the types of businesses that this is going to help, because some businesses really do have higher overhead costs than other businesses. So this is being a little bit more flexible in using the PPP money. Now, it's not quite incentivizing you quite as much as it did previously to spend this money on payroll, regardless if your employees are back at work or not. But this is opening those doors to recognizing that businesses need to survive, and this is going to make it a little bit easier. Now, this next change makes this whole program even easier, and that is the ability or your inability to bring back people to work. Now, this is written a little strangely because it's called the exemption based on employee availability, but it's not quite availability. It's your ability to bring them back. So here's how it's written. It's saying that this is all done in good faith. And it's saying an inability to rehire individuals who were employees of the eligible recipient on February 15th of 2020, and an inability to hire similarly qualified employees for unfilled positions on or before December 31st of 2020. Or, and on my notes, I highlighted and circled it. It says, or is able to document an inability to return to the same level of business activity as such business was operating before February 15th of 2020 due to compliance with requirements established by HHS, CDC, and OSHA. Now that is really broad. And even if your revenue is up, everything about your business could have changed. So you might not even need the same employees. So your inability to have the same business activity versus what you're going to have right now or moving forward, everything is completely changed. So it seems to me that that particular change would say that if you have a different business structure or you have different objectives, that sounds like it would all qualify if you can't bring back all of the people that you had on February 15th. And on the same instance, if you were at the same business level or you get to the same business level that you were on February 15th and you didn't change your business structure, then you probably need all the people that you had on February 15th. So it doesn't matter. So either way, it's really whatever is in the best interest of your business. That's the way that these changes are looking to me, rather than saying, we're going to give small businesses this money just to run payroll. And that's the way I was looking at the PPP program, that if you're an independent contractor, you had this money, but if you are a small business owner with employees other than yourself, then making those payments when your business is not even open doesn't really do much good for your small business. But with these changes, it's kind of finding that happy medium between your employees and the small business surviving long term. And what also makes it a little bit easier is for you to deal with your employees and forcing them to take a paycheck from you, or you're going to report them to the state unemployment office when they can't get unemployment, which is probably a boost in a lot of people's paychecks. So they're feeling like it's the small business that's attacking them rather than the state. So it's a mess. And hopefully that this cleans it up a little bit, makes it a little bit less stressful. So those that are trying to survive and make ends meet can do it. And you as a small business owner can figure out how to make your small business survive. And the last point that I want to talk about is a little ambiguous to me. And I've seen a lot of different interpretations out there, and that's moving the date of the repayments. So whatever's not forgiven, as it stands right now, would start after 6 months. That's when you have to start making those payments that are deferred payments. But the proposed changes, if you don't actually file for the forgiveness application, it sounds like it's going to default to 10 months. So it's being extended. Now, the clause in here says extended, so I'm assuming that it's all extended, but it's also saying that when the forgiveness amount is remitted to the lender, then at that point is when your repayments would start. But that could potentially be shorter than 6 months. So I'm not really sure if you should wait to apply for forgiveness right after the 8 weeks, or just take your sweet time in putting the application for forgiveness in. I'm sure there's going to be more guidance and clarification, because I have seen a lot of different interpretations on that piece, but it is saying that it's extending those repayments. So with the extension of the repayments and extending the entire loan from 2 years to 5 years and all these other changes that I just went through, it's going to make it a lot easier and a lot less stressful on the small business owner with the PPP program. And maybe even some that are on the sidelines, because there's still billions left, will actually apply for the PPP program, realizing that, hey, maybe this will actually help my small business rather than just providing blank checks to my employees if your business isn't open. So that's what we have for right now. And there could be a ton of other changes as it goes from the Senate to the president. So just continue to pay attention to the changes and the guidance and do the best planning you can. If you have questions, leave them in the comments down below. And if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and leave your comments down at the bottom.